Okay, so this is how we film 4 music videos in 3 days.
Hey, I'm William from accounting.
What's your last name?
Moneybags. It's William Moneybags. I'm Moneybags William from accounting. This was a tough project. Who took my notes? A lot was asked of the financing department for this video.
How much money do we have to make these videos?
$0.
Pre-production was a difficult process. Trying to translate these very, very abstract ideas into something that was digestible, eye-catching, and interesting. We worked on this pre-production in a way that wasn't just, here's how you do a music video. It was very much, in a lot of ways, here's a research project. Here's these articles and all these things that are going on. Here's some of these theory and certain things. I was sharing with you Francis Yates and Art of Memory. I was sharing with you not just stand in front of a backdrop, perform this, wave your arms. All right, cool. Next shot, stand in front of this backdrop, wave your arms. Like, if I'm just giving you something that's just Spotify slop, YouTube trending music videos, anybody could do that, and there's no point in me even trying to do that because there's a million people doing that.
First of all, they wanted to buy costumes. And frankly, Moneybags William says no. We need a budget. We need strict budgeting, strict adherence to a budget, clear guidelines for spending. $577. $577 spent on equipment rental, set rentals, and $71 of miscellaneous. I think it was important. Everyone seemed to enjoy the sets.
Did we avoid any major purchases?
We stole a lot from. That's the real answer. Well, that was the double Dolly.
Do you remember what we did on day 1 at all?
No, fuck. What was day 1?
Okay.
So,
yes.
what the hell did you make?
Someone's gonna be like, actually, a double Dolly is a technique, not a. So for what was the video? For this music video, we crunched all the numbers, and there was no room in the budget for this, so we decided we're just gonna build something. We located some free pallets, which we disassembled. What that came down to was taking 2 scooters. Luke's getting the B-roll. We pseudo-reassembled them into basically like a wagon that Nava could sit on. And the camera would be here, and then myself or Luke could like kind of maneuver this thing around, and the 2 would move as one to get the shot that we wanted. And I think Nava was able to deliver a confident performance from it without fearing for his well-being.
I think William built that like on the spot overnight, so you gotta commend that, the fact that it worked as well as it did.
It was zip tied together. It was well assembled up until like the halfway point, and then we zip tied it together. We were able to build the thing with basically a 0 budget, using stuff we already had, or things that we could salvage.
Did it turn out as you hoped?
Kind of. It was all right. There were segments of video that were kind of bumpy, but I think with the way Luke has kind of put it together, it ended up looking pretty good with the post-processing and cutting out the crappy bits.
Thanks.
Yeah, he did like a little radial, like blur thing.
A little editing.
A little editing. I don't know what he does.
We do a little editing.
Yeah.
Then we drove up to Oakland.
That was the next day.
That was the same day.
That felt like it happened 3 years after. Every 5 seconds, it was a new piece of stimuli that I just was not expecting. Wear this, get on this. One of you was handing me an item, like, can you wear this real quick? And I had to just look at it and like, what is this for? Like, who?
No, my bad. Costuming, similarly, I was also pretty satisfied with the price I was able to get everything at.
Moneybags William says yes.
For example, the soldier costume involves a pretty broad variety of materials that were hard to find, including things more authentic, like the US Army blouse that was pretty accurate to the time, versus things such as the ammunition belt and the backpack, which were totally not related to American military gear at the time, but they played the role.
Sometimes you can just throw some shit together, sometimes you gotta spend some money.
you know, like some kind of.
You kind of put some words in my mouth. Sometimes you just spend a little money, sometimes you spend a lot of money. Although constructing the Artifice Sets was very DIY oriented, it kind of ended up being one of the more cost intensive procedures just because of all the materials we found ourselves needing. Between all the paints for the backdrop that Sophie painted for the detective artifice.
That's what I want to talk about. The paintings that your partner made, these giant fucking pieces as the backdrops. I remember I came in and I saw them painting it. I didn't want to fucking dip over them and try to look at what they were doing. I didn't want to be rude. But from afar, I was like, oh damn, like this is kind of crazy. And then actually seeing it in action, actually seeing it all up together like that, that was for sure something that I gotta say, because I feel like I didn't get a full chance to like full on, thank them for that, for being a part of this.
And all the foam and printed materials I needed for the soldier.
That one was probably, from my memory, that was the biggest fucking pain in the ass to film, because I had to keep the position that whole time. I can't believe that was the same day. That alone, if we just did the military part that day, that would have already been exhausting.
Between the 3 different costumes we needed for the Artifice set and the 3 different sets we needed, that was by far the most costume and time intensive portion of all the art direction.
But the fact that we were able to do that and do the rest of it is so crazy.
It seems like the shoot went well there, even though it was a ton of moving pieces between setting up and breaking down all 3 sets over and over again, as well as just the logistics of trying to get us all to Oakland with all of these sets and all these costumes. And, Leah helping us out as like a production assistant in that moment.
I think set construction was really stressful. I remember Henry here was really stressed. It was really dark in there, and me and Henry could barely see any of the stuff we were building, and he was getting stressed with me because I had to navigate a flashlight, and we were worried about it getting in the shot, and there was just a lot of stressors there, but it was fun overall, and I think it went really well.
I feel like we worked well with what we had, which was nothing considering we couldn't see in the dark and we were building something to look at. I feel like that was a pretty engaging start. Kind of get the blood flowing for the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we drove back to the office really late.
I remember how my day started for that one.
Oh, we were just mad sleepy.
So there was just a lot of, oh man, you really hope this doesn't happen, and then it happened.
So I just felt thrashed.
I almost crashed the drone. Now I get to point the blame at someone else. That guy.
So I did not want those 2 shoots to be back to back. It was not my intention. I would never do that. It's not my fault, as William says here.
It wasn't really his fault.
And here. William. What? It's not my fault. I changed my mind.
I was worried from the jump, like fuck, like I'm not trying to break anything, because one wasn't my house. I didn't know any of these people letting us do this fucking weird shit that we put together. Like to be blunt, like it's fucking weird. Like I don't.
It's a nice breeze.
Hello, William.
Hello again. I'm like the Jesus of counter. So, the plan. We wanted Nava in one take, or the appearance of one take, to leave a room, walk towards, like, away from a building, so like a room into an outside space, like a yard, and then for him to basically, kind of like the double dolly, be lifted up into the sky and come with the camera.
Like there were so many takes that we did where it was like action, stop, action, stop, action, stop, and we had to keep on fucking going and going and going and going and going. That in the back of my mind was like, fuck, like I don't know if we're gonna be able to pull this off.
We basically had a green screen set up so that as he came out of the building, he turned, and then Henry and Leah would pop up this green screen behind him, and that would allow us to basically key him out.
So me, I had the easiest job, and that was a pain in the ass for me. But for y'all, fucking Henry and his partner had to do the set breakdown and building up and all that shit.
I already had like one 35 or 36 hours, something like that day earlier in the week, prepping all the props and everything of the rest of the DIY needs. When that carried over into the next shoot day, I didn't have any energy drink or anything that kind of babied me through that morning.
I woke up really disoriented.
And it kind of seemed like everybody was.
Yeah. And Henry just being like, okay, wake up, we gotta go. And then I brushed my teeth for about 5 seconds before he was like pounding on the door like, Leah, we gotta go. And I was wearing like day-old makeup, and I was just really crusty, very stinky. And
True. To add to the visual nature of it, I didn't get a chance to finish my laundry, so I was in swim trunks and like high school shirt, I think. So I was really looking busted. And I was pretty butthurt at Luke and William because there was a fairly big misunderstanding of not knowing that I had been up all night preparing for today. Like everybody woke up in the morning and they're like, hurry up, we gotta finish packing. And it's like, dude, I've been doing this for like 9 hours now, I know.
We had to change up the room as we were shooting in one shot, and that was really hard to navigate because it was a lot of memorization as well.
I think the rage and internal flames is what fueled me to get through the day. And then I had like a little tantrum, and then we went to Panda Express.
And he calmed down.
Yeah, I will say things were looking up like when we got Panda Express, and then from there on, the moods were definitely, we were laughing, we were having fun.
What was it like working as a team?
Pretty good.
Can we get a love vibe, a hug? Aww.
The challenge, once we had that key of Nava, was basically to line up the video of the world in the first take with like a drone video that starts at the same point without Nava, that would then take off and fly back and could be spliced in. And we were like, okay, this should work pretty well. And that was the plan going into it.
People say like, oh, they CGI'd it, and then they kind of like, oh, like that must have been easy because you just sit on a computer, you just do it. Oftentimes, a CGI effect is like 90% practical, with the CGI just put on top of it as like the shell, and that's what completes the effect. There was so much physical behind the scenes work just to make that all work.
In reality, it was kind of really a mess on set, and we didn't really get the footage that we needed. The biggest challenge we faced was that the plate of Nava performing wouldn't line up with the drone shots that we got. So that caused some challenges in post-production.
And masking that was probably hell.
A little bit.
Yeah.
How did we end up salvaging the Black Iron Prison video?
So, instead of the original plan, we 3D tracked the camera motion leaving the bedroom. So from the moment he kind of steps through the door, we're getting a solve in 3D space on the camera. And then what we can do with that is basically take the first frame of the drone video, and we're basically putting it on a plate in this 3D tracked space. Relies a lot on rotoscoping. There was a lot more rotoscoping involved, but it ultimately got the effect we wanted.
Then we headed back to the office.
So here I am in the office, here to tell you about how we made it look like Nava in...
Alright.
We're in the office.
Okay.
Outside of the window was not a street. Could you believe it? It was a projector. So we used rear projection. We basically propped up a big screen to the left of the car, and we projected a little video we found on like Vimeo or something, just kind of looping in the background. The black point, you can
you tell?
Yeah, you can see the black point of the projector is kind of bright. So you don't get very, a little. It's a hair bright. So you don't get very much contrast.
Oh.
That was well timed.
Well,
okay, I guess show's over. The effect has been revealed.
The Obsession Room, even though it's a lot more intricate than some of the other sets visually, it was a lot more free-flowing putting that together. We just used a lot of stuff we had around the house. The only super intensive prop to create for that room, and that's the most visually demanding one, is the wall itself.
Shouts out, commendations to you for being able to put together such a detailed network behind me to illustrate a lot of what I was trying to say. That's all practical, and what you're looking at is like literally like fucking printing it out, putting it up, let's do this, let's put this over here, let's light this, let's do this. So there was just a lot of hands-on work.
And that was made with 2 large sheets of plywood put up against the wall as like a proxy wall for Luke to pin all of the photos into. and then a huge map of all these items, photos, documents, post-it notes was created. And Luke went ahead and assembled the wall itself, and then that kind of gave me a general creative cue for the rest of the room to see what I should put in there with like the general messiness or disheveled look of it with all these strange materials. That was a pretty good time just finding random trash and camping gear and office supplies to scatter around the room to make it look like somebody had been obsessing in the obsession room.
Now, let's go to the beach. Let's go get away.
Are you rolling?
Hi.
I think it was one of the harder ones for you, where we went to the beach and we buried you alive.
Oh, yeah.
We dug a little hole, like a trench, and we laid down a big, like, tarp, and we had, like a shiny, what do you call those? Like a emergency blanket.
Oh, yeah.
To try and keep him warm.
That fucking foil shit didn't work for me, which was fine. Like,
Yeah.
And he lay in there, like...
It was a sad sight. It felt like...
Yeah.
I don't know, it felt like Final Destination or something. He was incredibly cold.
I wasn't shaking because I was cold.
He kind of started doing that thing where you stop shivering because you're so cold.
So, like, I wasn't, like, cold. It was more that I was just, like, fucked up because of the tight space.
He was clenching...
Dude, you can't say he's clenching his...
You could tell in the footage, he was
cameras.
like... don't shiver. So I think he was all right.
He didn't go blue, so I think we're good.
No.
I feel like it would have been more mentally strong to get him wet. And, like I know... What?
That was terrible.
I think it would have built more morale if we just, like, let Nava get wet during the... I don't know. How do I say that? I don't know how to say it.
Okay.
It was fun, and
Yeah.
I got to watch Henry and William like throw sand out.
You're not making this sound like connected.
That was William and Henry were in the back, and to simulate fucking explosions, they were just like literally throwing up fucking sand and just like literally throwing it up.
Just doing it at the beach felt like the best approach. We didn't want to source that much dirt or sand or whatever crap.
You're like, yeah, and then you're gonna have explosions behind you. And I was like, how the fuck are we gonna do explosions? Like, or do you want to actually like get some type of explosive and then do that? Because that's gonna be a whole nother extra.
We were gonna
buy dirt and like it was a blur. All I remember was like chocolate powder.
Something stupid.
Genius idea.
And dirt and
No, sanitized
dirt, which I think you guys are just making that up.
I don't think sanitized dirt is a real thing.
You're the guy that said it.
Just being able to be like, man, how are we gonna make it look like sand is being thrown around? Just throw around some sand.
We were able to get like some really fun shots of Nava with his little military suit on.
Yeah, it was like there was definitely plenty to do that day, but at the same time the pacing was a lot more relaxed. So
Yeah.
it felt a lot more fulfilling and like enjoyable instead of a rush.
That night is when we had the domestic terror shoot, which was I personally think that's the best video.
Okay, boys.
No. What me and Luke were talking about in advance is we want to create as many moments as possible that he can edit between and cut on, but we're not necessarily looking for like specific moments with downtime in between. And two, you just generally need a lot more light, is what we found. So we were kind of basically just spamming the crowd with lighting moments. In addition to that, we're also turning up the brightness a lot because we're trying to see through the dark moments as well. So even in the supposed dark moments, there's always a little bit of ambient light. There's something turned on, there's something lighting the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, the lighting was really good.
Thanks.
Question number 2. Did you surprise yourself with your efficiency in setting up the light?
No.
Did Chad
Yes, I surprised myself setting up the lights. But basically we made like these stands. They had DMX in and DMX out. So all you had to do was just take the tripod.
Dude,
Why is he here? Why is he here?
I don't know.
Is he just here for support? Get it together, man.
I'm chilling.
I'm gonna be in your shoes in about 2 questions. So
notice
We'll
how I
see.
never interrupted and you somehow still fucked up your interview. I wasn't really there for when you loaded up the lights at the underpass because we were running a bit behind, but I mean you guys had them set up by the time we got there.
Yeah, because we did that shit like run and gun.
He's filming my toes.
All right, let's just do this until someone comes over here and tells us not to.
So we went outside to the backyard for the second shot of the night, and Nava started to perform.
Yeah, a lot of people came out. Yeah, we're just saying action. The song will come on, and I would just start jumping.
And I could see good intention in everybody's hearts of trying to look like they're having a good time, but naturally we kind of just put them in a crowd outside with a bunch of strangers and said, have fun. And I could see people kind of struggling to do that naturally. It's a bit of a forced setting. You know, in a moment where we really needed them like jumping and going crazy and moshing, you could just see people kind of like, woo, yeah, and just trying, but they didn't have that. The energy wasn't there. And it kind of clicked. I was like, okay, I got to do something. I got to think of something. And I realized if I was just really loud and yelling at people, I've noticed this with other shows too, especially when people on stage need to captivate the attention of the audience and get the energy of the space going. You really kind of just got to demand people to have fun. And so I started telling people like, come on, jump, jump, bump into each other, jump, come on, mosh, come on, go, go, go. Just like yelling at people like a drill sergeant eventually. And surprisingly, they were able to put up with me and actually did a really good job once we started picking up.
We were filming a music video and it was a lot of work, but at some points it really just felt like a party of people gathering and just getting to know each other because I was able to meet a lot of new people.
And I think towards the end of the night, people kind of got in the habit and I didn't have to yell at them as much. But I think it was still fun, so I kept doing it.
The whole purpose of even doing this is, you know, not because I want to be like an artist in front of the camera, because I don't even like being in front of the camera, to be honest with you, but was to put forward, you know, the message, you know, put forward the point. Ultimately, you as the individual don't just exist as an individual. You interact with the outside world interacts with you. What you see around you when you talk about social, political, and economic issues, these are not just relegated to your individual experience. This is part of a larger process, a larger network that's going on all the time, all over the world. All these videos, it just, as difficult as it was, the whole point of all these images, the whole point of all these different themes and ideas and everything like that is that it's all supposed to tie together into this project. You're supposed to see all of it in totality as a big, you know, bizarre, weird, interconnected project. If it were something that I could just say in a sentence, I would just upload a YouTube video of me talking. So, you know, I really hope people can take some of that from this. Sorry, like I said, I'm sorry this was a mess. I hope that you're able to edit something out of this.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
All right.